Hello, and welcome back to my Therapist Plays Disco Elysium analysis series. In today's episode, we are going to be taking a very thorough look at how Disco Elysium portrays intrusive thinking when electrochemistry starts giving us thoughts and they are very much opposed to the thoughts of volition, and how this actually very accurately represents some of our very real thinking patterns. So I'm going to be using actual theory to break this down, using the cognitive model, how actual cognitive behavioral therapy works, and how we might apply it to a situation that our detective finds himself in with his own intrusive thinking. This one's going to be quite in depth, so I'm excited to get into it. Let's dive in. All right, so what we need to do now is figure out where to go. This door he wants me to bust down. Oh, there's an end of day debrief. Kim can answer any lingering questions you may have about the case in the RCM. Join him in the Whirling in Rags balcony after 10. So what time is it? It's almost 10. So we've got a little bit of time before we can do that. Do we have enough money to pay back Mr. Gartz? Do we have enough? Do we have? Oh, he's got a ton of trash. Let's go turn in the trash. Let's pay a visit to the best character in this entire game, Rita Girl. Let's see what she's up to, and let's get some money. Yeah, we're not accepting that bribe. Fuck that guy. I don't care. We'll solve our many problems through rigorous environmentalism. I believe I am supposed to talk to this gentleman first, though. Let's see what he's got to say.
So, how'd you like our harbor?
Was nice enough. Let's remain neutral.
It's but a rest area on the path leading across open plains.
Okay.
Right. You talk to the boss, eye to eye, like men of the plain. If you have any more questions, I'm set to talk.
Everett said you have a key to the door.
A key, huh? What door is this key supposed to open?
He said it belonged to a weasel. I was hoping you could tell me. Let's just go with that.
Of course. I got you. You don't know anything.
Taps the side of his nose with a little wink.
I got that key right here. And let me tell you, it's mighty good of you to help us out during the strike. Working class solidarity, as they say.
Let's see if we can get some information out of him. I'm a hustle grinder. I'm not really doing this for political reasons. That's very in line with me.
Oh, so the none of the above type, are you? I get it. I like to keep my distance too. But it doesn't matter. It's a good thing you're doing. Thanks. What you're looking for is a basement door behind the greenhouse. That's behind the Whirling in Rags. That's all I know. Our organization is what you call compartmentalized. Means we keep out of each other's business.
Okay.
Okay, but where did you get the key from?
Good
The
question.
janitor gave it to me. Nice fella. We talked about life and things that really, truly matter. None of this mess we're in, this jiving and juggling. What's it for? To feed our children, I guess.
Anything else I should know about this task, this weasel person, when he'll be home?
I'm more of a philosophical dock worker. I
Ah,
like to talk about the big picture stuff. Who I am, who you are, what we are fighting for.
hey, thank you so much for the hydrate, Immortal. We'll do that now. So he's a deep thinker.
He is, and what they're fighting for. This is interesting.
Why are you striking?
We're negotiating our share.
Your share?
Aye.
How large a share would you like? Let's ask him.
All of it. However, right now we want all the harbor workers to be on the company's board, so they could take part in the decision-making process.
Let's ask him about Everard.
I think it's best you make up your own mind now that you've met him. In my eyes, he is a capable organizer and a decent businessman.
What does bossing the union
I
entail,
guess you kind of get
anyways?
to be the village chief. He oversees the harbor, makes deals with the owners or other relevant parties. Watches out for his own.
By
Okay.
that, you mean corruption?
Got him.
By heavens, why would he not be corrupt? We live in a harsh and disordered world, see? And in this world, the old man is corrupt for our benefit, and we know it. Appreciate it even. He is, personally, not too lavish.
That desk seemed lavish to me.
He is reasonably lavish, sure. That's his prerogative. It's not like you want a saintly demeanor on a corrupt motherfucker. That would be a manipulative illusion.
For someone so careful with your words, you're letting some vulgarity slip through here, friend. What's going on?
Besides, there are no non-corrupt systems in the world anyway. And moralism is the most corrupt of them all.
What?
Not you would like to say. But then there's that Weasel door.
How is moralism corrupt? I don't really know what moralism entails in this context, though. Are you a communist?
No. I don't think I'm a communist. Seeing something of value and saying I want it all to myself is a much older and simpler notion. No science to it at all. Even a weak child can think it. The only things holding someone back are I can't and I shouldn't.
Moralism is centralism. That does not help me. I am further from understanding that now, actually. You shouldn't take what's not yours. I mean, I agree with that.
Then how can anything ever be mine? But that's okay. We don't have to agree. The prairie is wide enough for all of us.
Moralism is the international political group that took over the revolution, like Renee talked about. It's the main ideology of the ruling class. It's basically American liberalism. Centrism, coalition. They're the do-nothing party. There's so many things here that are out of my scope. Yeah, well, there's a spoiler policy, but sometimes I'm just gonna ask for information because, like, I'll be honest, like, I'm inviting this now, I know, but like, certain kinds of spoilers I really don't care about. Like, obviously, I don't want people to tell me what happens in the game if I am gonna find that out on my own. But like, the things that are the most egregious spoilers to me are like character things. Like, I do wish that I would have probably discovered the name thing on my own. I don't think it's like the worst thing ever, but like, character development is spoilers to me. But telling me what moralism is, like, tell me, because so out of my scope. You seem to think you seem to have spent a lot of time thinking about the political situation. Let's ask him that.
Sure. I've had the
Or
necessary free
Tell
time.
him that.
Fortunately, there's always time.
Okay.
The look in his brown eyes conjures up an understanding. For him, having command of his time is the most important thing. The man sits on the railing, his hands reaching far and wide. Yet it feels as if he could effortlessly go even wider, if need be, an endless torrent of time.
Okay. Well, he did say he would tell me more about this murder once I talked to his boss. Any idea who killed the hanged man?
The mercenary, eh? Who could have killed him? That's indeed the question. Why even do such a thing?
It's a good question. The harbor is a prime area of suspicion. In your opinion, are the dock workers involved in the killing?
What a thought! Why would noble workers resort to such a thing? Unless they were pushed, of course.
Pushed how?
Your dead guy was an enemy combatant.
Did you kill him? No, we're not going to go there. Hold up. What does that
He
mean?
was an agent of the opposition, attempting to undermine our honorable efforts.
Did you kill
I
him?
ain't the murdering type, but that's just me. Large organizations like our union have all sorts of men, with all sorts of skills.
This could be a red herring. Could have nothing to do with the union at all.
He means a more violent faction could easily take care of such a thing.
Or the least violent.
Understood. This has been of limited use. Still, thank you.
No
Okay.
problem. I wish the best to you in your search. Sure, I'm glad it's not my search.
All right. Gotta run. So, trash, money, sleep. Parasympathetic nervous system is telling me my body needs to rest. Oh, I got a thought.
That felt good. Your heart's pounding nicely. You should tell people to fuck off more often.
I should do that.
No, you shouldn't. You're an officer of the law.
Maybe I shouldn't. I love this. I fucking love this. This portrayal of mental states that are in competition with one another is so good, so accurate. Like, I really do actually want to talk about this. A little more in depth. If you don't mind me indulging a little bit in some some psychology. So, like, I talked about that here, the whole competing mental states thing, but let me give you a little bit of like additional context. So, like, CBT, right? Cognitive behavioral therapy. It uses something called the cognitive model, which is like essentially that the chain of events is we have a thought, we have an emotion, and then we have like a behavior. Right. And most of the time, like, we actually work backwards when we are detecting these things because our behaviors are so much more observable, right? It's like simple cause and effect. Like, for example, I'll do it like this. My behavior is I smoked. My behavior is I confronted someone. My behavior is that I cried. My behavior is that I, slouched in the chair. My behavior in Everart's office was like fidgeting, right? My behavior when I was talking to Frit Girl is like, right, just talking, conversing. Let's put conversing. Some of my other behaviors would be fighting, cursing, right? Because we're talking about like telling people to fuck off and confronting and that sort of thing. Resting, right? That's another behavior. You can see that like it's very easy to identify our behaviors. These are the things that we do. We're quite good at giving like a historical account of things. And I think that for our character, it's also particularly interesting because he's asking a lot of questions like, what did I do in terms of like, who was I, right? Some of his questions have been like, was I a good cop, right? Like, did I do my job? Did I perform well? Was I a good person, right? Behavior is the most obvious, most overt part of this process, but it's also the most limited in understanding the source of our anxieties, right? Because like now we have to take a step back, actually. The way it works is we have a thought. That thought gives us an emotion, and based on that emotion, we make a behavior. But when we're trying to understand these things, we actually have to work our way backwards, right? So if I did something like smoked, right, the behavior is, lighting up a cigarette or something. What is the emotion? What is the emotion that I'm having as I do that, right? Some of the emotions my character has had are like anxiety, fear, regret, sadness, grief, loss of personal self. Um, I would actually say like empathy is more of a behavior in this sense. Like we are empathizing with someone. That's a verb, right? We empathize. But the emotion attached to empathy is, um, I mean, it's even hard for me to come up with some of these sometimes, right? Like, um, it's a kind of like sadness. What did Tommy call it? Like an aching of the soul or something, right? It's painful. Um, some of the emotions that we've had were like happiness, right? We were happy when we got like a cigarette, when uh, when we got some money, right? Compassion, yeah, that's a great one, right? Feeling compassionate. Um, anger is a big one. Loneliness, right? Isolation. It's kind of like one of those. Shame, yeah, great, right? So like it's pretty it's a little bit more difficult, but still we can detect these things, right? And we can even say, okay, well, when I'm feeling anxious, I might do all of these things. I might smoke when I'm anxious. I might confront someone. I might start crying. I might slouch in my chair. I might start fidgeting. I might start talking, right? I might fight with someone. Like anxiety can be a source for all of these things. Um, what could shame make us want to do, right? It could make us want to isolate. It could make us, fight with people. It could make us cry as well, right? Like there's multiple routes that this can take. But this is where Disco Elysium comes in with like the thoughts that your character is having, right? This is brilliant right here. So the game is saying like, damn, that felt good. That's a thought, right? This is a neutral, objective, like automatic thought that we're having. And like the emotion that we might have from that is maybe one of like relief. And so when we have this thought and this emotion, like what is the behavior that it's telling us to do? It's telling us to go confront someone, right? It's saying, damn, that felt good. Your heart's pounding nicely. You should tell people to fuck off more often, right? Is this a good way to experience relief, though? Because I think without the thought, if I took this away, right? And I asked you, well, what's the, when we feel relief, what do we do? We might say, oh, well, we rest, we have a good conversation, right? We might socialize, we might relax. But no, right? When the emotion is only connected to a behavior in a very limited sense, right? We don't get the full context of how emotions work unless we actually have like a thought attached to it, which can totally upset the relationship between something like relief and a behavior. Because that felt good is telling me that relief is connected to confrontation. That in fact, feeling anxiety, like that kind of like heart pumping tension is like good for you. Like you should get in more fights. You should curse more often, right? If you want to feel relief, you cannot empathize. Like Half-Light is disrupting your the like what we would say is a healthy relationship between the emotion of relief and the behaviors that might follow it. But then you have something like volition that comes in and says like, no, you shouldn't. You're an officer of the law, right? What is this? Right? This is appealing to like my own sense of moralism and the idea that like you shouldn't do that. You're an officer of the law. To me, what that's getting into is like a sense of shame over like that's not something that someone with a strong moral code would do. Regret, you should not have made that choice, and fear for how you will come off to people who you're trying to uphold a professional, law-abiding posture to. And then those, despite shame, regret, and fear seeming like very negative emotions, what kinds of behaviors are they going to lead to? They're actually going to lead you to empathy, to standing up for someone, to not confronting them but trying to understand, right? They're going to lead you to honesty, the behavior of honesty, right? They're going to lead you to apology. And so now you have what look like negative emotions leading you to very positive coded behaviors, right? So the cognitive model is all about how like when you're missing this part of it, right? Like when we do not include this, emotions and behaviors do not tell a full story. We assume that, oh well, we avoid anxiety, right? When we feel fear, we're always isolating. No. Fear can have a very positive impact on you, but you have to consider where it came from. It's the thought. No, you shouldn't, officer, right? You're an officer of the law. Fear is stimulating a very positive set of behaviors here. And I love that the game does this because it demonstrates this so much with so much like effectiveness, right? Because like I said, it's very easy to look at our behaviors and say, yeah, like I ordered junk food yesterday. I canceled my appointments. I bailed on my friend. These are all behaviors. What were you feeling? I guess I was feeling shame. Okay, but what's the thought? What did you think of before you felt shame and before you canceled on your friend? Well, my thought was they don't want to hang out with me anyways. Okay, now we can actually like do some rewiring here, right? What's behind that? Why is there a connection between like I don't think that they want to hang out with me, shame and avoidance? And this is where you actually get into like what's behind this whole thing. This is cognitive behavioral therapy, right? Is thoughts, where do they come from? They're automatic, meaning that like not all thoughts are automatic, obviously, but like the ones that are intruding into our character's mind are very automatic, and many of ours are as well. But most of these thoughts, they come from our core beliefs, right? This is like the hidden category that's way down deep. That is, it is where our thoughts like sort of we don't always have the ability to get insight into what our core beliefs are. This is not core values. Like I can tell you my core value is like, um, respect the law, live an honest life. treat people with kindness, whatever. These are core values. But a core belief, something that might develop into an automatic thought like they don't want to hang out with me anyways, is, like I'm worthless, right? Or I'm uninteresting. I'm not a good person, right? A lot of we can change these and develop positive core beliefs. But when we're having this like negative translation thoughts, emotions, behaviors, it's coming from like a core belief that is a maladaptive core belief, right? And it's all in the word here, right? Maladaptive. Think of how many words have this prefix: malice, malicious, malfunction, malfeasance, malignant, malnourished, right? Mal being like it's a French word. It means bad, right? So when something is bad and adaptive, like we are adapting to it in a negative way. Like our brain, our emotions, they have learned to develop like in a negative way, a maladaptive way, which results in this unproductive, unhelpful chain of thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and it completely dictates most of what we're doing all the time, right? And this game is like perfectly depicting this whole thing by suddenly having random thoughts that come to your mind like this, right? But that come from different angles. It's fascinating. So we're trying to understand what sort of behavior our character might have as a result of this, because we're currently lacking the insight to like go all the way into this. You can imagine that, like, especially when you like, this is hard to do when you are in possession of all of your critical faculties and you're completely sober and you even have like, let's say, a good grounding of mental health. This is hard to do. But this is like why CBT is so effective, because like it is a practiced, proven method, and it is like so cross-culturally validated. Like this is it. This is how it works, right? And I do not practice CBT like religiously. It's foundational to a lot of the stuff that I do, but I put these more in a narrative context, right? Like a lot of my work is focused in narrative psychology, which is using similar ideas, but it's asking about them in a very different way. So like, that person doesn't want to hang out with me. Instead of like going and using the language of CBT, we might ask a question like, where did you learn that? How did that storyline start that they don't want to hang out with you? How did the storyline start that a good officer of the law is not someone who confronts people that way? Where does that narrative begin, right? And how do we start investigating that storyline? So it's just using a different sort of verbal framework to address things in a way that's a little less like clinical jargony. So this is what's so great about this game. And like I said, imagine you're in full possession of your critical faculties, you're sober, you're a mentally well person. This is still complicated. But now imagine you're also like fiending for a cigarette. Imagine you're like looking for ways to get a buzz. Imagine you are buzzed, right? Trying to detect and trace these things and like sort out what you're thinking, what you're feeling, how this results in behaviors and patterns of behaviors is like it's really, really hard. So that's why, you know, as a substance use, working in substance use, a lot of my work is in helping people to identify these things and like learning to do this without self-judgment, right? Because we can't come into this and say like, oh, well, I just realized that, you know, I tend to confront people very negatively because I've associated good feelings with, you know, being vulgar and confronting people, right? And getting relief from telling people to fuck off. I get a release of my anger that way. Wow, I must be a bad person. Oh, there's another thought, right? Like you're able to put it back on the board and look at these things without judgment, right? And as you do that, you may start to develop that core self-empathy. Because then you can learn that, like, look, my thoughts, I'm not in control of these things. They happen automatically a lot of times. And when I do change my core beliefs, I can change my thinking. I can change the way I respond to emotions. My behavior will follow suit. And I will have the language to tell a better story about what is happening in my life. That's how you do psychology. Okay, I'm going on a rant here for a while. I'm going to read some of your comments. Brady, is there any chance to work with you? I think I'll learn more with you than any institute here. Oh, I'm very humbled by that. Well, this is what I can offer you at the moment, is just my janky whiteboard scribbles and semi-game playing, semi-self-therapy lesson. But I hope it's helpful to someone. Half-light is your fight or flight. Volition is your self-control and dignity. Yeah, no, I think that the names that the game gives to these sources, that's why I was so compelled by this idea right at the beginning, because, like, as I said in my first like little breakaway analysis, I was like, yeah, I struggle sometimes to explain to people that you can have multiple mental states that compete with each other for, like, delivering this thought, emotion, behavior mechanism. It's like, imagine this was the language we use to say, like, what is volition telling you right now? If you're feeling your life dominated by thoughts of electrochemistry, what do you think volition would say against them, right? You could, like, legitimately use that dialogue. When I was in therapy, CBT felt like such an unsubstantial practice because it was never explained like this. Well, that's part of the problem, I think, is just that, like, CBT works. It does. It's not perfect for everything, but as a good foundation for seeing short-term results, like, you can see people start to make effective changes very quickly. And CBT's whole goal is teaching the client to become their own therapist, because when you're equipped with this knowledge, you can start doing this. You can start literally just start with this chain, right? Thought, emotion, behavior, and start writing them down, you know? That's why, like, we're often recommending doing thought records and things like that. But work your way backwards. Look at the behavior. What did you do? When my mom called, I let the phone go to the voicemail. What were you feeling? I was feeling fear. What was the thought attached to it? I was afraid that I was in trouble for something. Okay, keep doing that. What's the pattern, right? Like, you can start doing this. It's really impactful. If we're stopping like this every time electrochemistry tells us to do it, we are here for another half year. Yeah, I know. I told you, I try not to, I could literally do this like for a very long time because I enjoy it. So thought cabinet ideas could be more like those narratives that inform how we express ourselves. Yeah, what I'm thinking about thought cabinet is basically like, this is kind of like stepping back from the thought and getting into a core belief, like exploring a core belief. Once I have discovered that my core belief, or one of them, might be, I'm sorry, right? My core belief might be attached to this. The internalization of that is like me starting to examine the evidence. That's a very CBT framework as well, examining the evidence. It's basically like a Socratic questioning sort of thing. How did you learn that this was true? How did you learn that you're a worthless person? How did you learn that people don't want to spend time with you, right? What is the evidence that tells you that's true? Well, I don't go out very much. I don't have a lot of friends. I don't get invited to things. Okay, well, what's the evidence that counters that? Well, let's look in your phone. How many phone calls do you have? Well, I have a lot, but I didn't pick them up. Why? Well, because I was afraid. Oh, okay, well then there's not so much evidence for this, right? So examining the evidence, when we're internalizing a thought, that's kind of what we're doing. We're looking for ways to either reinforce or counteract the idea that this is a core belief. And that's what's so brilliant about this, is that you can decide after you internalize this that you can get rid of the thought. Like, okay, well, I've discovered that through no fault of my own, through a process of maladaptive thinking, I have developed a negative core belief, and I want to change that core belief. I don't want to be a confrontationalist. I want to be an apologist or something, right? Could be like that. I don't know how much you've brought up about CBT in this playthrough, but a narrow CBT-focused analysis of Disco Elysium, we wouldn't run out of things to talk about. This is the first time I brought up CBT, probably not only on this game, but like even in this whole channel. Like, I really don't bring up CBT a lot because, again, narrative fits my framework a little better for stuff like this, but this game is like nailing CBT, how it works. I just completed my master's in psychology for 3 months ago, but they never explained CBT like that. I love that. I suffered from depression for 10 years, went to many mental health specialists, and these analyses are better than psychologists told me. Yeah, I mean, the way I think about medication is, like, there are definitely aspects of mental health that a medical intervention are great for, especially if we're talking, like, depression, right? Like, I will often let people know that, look, much of the work that we can do in therapy that can benefit by doing a process like this, let me get rid of some of these circles. The thing is like, we can critically evaluate a lot of this stuff, and that's great, but it's really hard to do when you have like fundamental parts of your biochemistry that are currently compromised by depression, right? Remember what I said about the nervous system. Like, when you are depressed, and alcohol is a depressant, but we can naturally become depressed without alcohol. We're fatigued, we're tired. It takes a lot of mental effort to listen to things like volition, which tell us to make our bed and get up in the morning and go have a social encounter and like do all these things that are objectively good for you, but like they take a lot of energy. And so medication can, for example, like just clear out some of that fog. And it's not going to cure depression, but what it can do is it can prime you to actually benefit from this process, right? Like, you're not going to benefit from this if it's a struggle just to get through a 45-minute conversation. You're not going to be able to do the kind of rigorous self-critique that, like, I'm asking of you as your therapist, right? What we need is someone who is able to sort of like grapple with these subjects, integrate this feedback, actually follow through with the tasks that we are in pursuit of therapeutically to actually make progress. And so like medication can help prime you for that. Rigorous self-critique. Yeah, I love that. I actually do love that. Some medication help, but I still feel like I need good non-medication therapy. No, yeah, you need both, right? I mean, it's my belief that both are, they're cooperative in the process of this, right? Some medications can do the bulk of the work, but a lot of them are treating symptomology, right? Especially when we're talking about addiction, for example. If someone stop me at any time and say, play the fucking game as well, because like I will just keep talking if not stopped. Like, medications that are designed to help people through addiction, for example, medications that, like, if the person is taking opiates, we're talking, heroin, fentanyl, these sorts of things, right? Like your brain has opiate receptors that crave intake, and certain medications can basically just park in that receptor. And so the body is like, okay, well, there is something taking up that slot. It's not all the way there, but like, even if you were to try to smoke a fentanyl pill, that medication is already parking in the spot for the receptor. So there's a good chance that that person's not even going to get high from it. And that's going to reduce the sense of craving. It's going to reduce the kinds of like fucked up damage that does to this whole process. And the person's eventually, with medication and therapy and peer support and all kinds of other good stuff, going to find that like their impulses to use no longer hijack the healthy operation of this network. So medication's good too, with the right understanding and intention. We haven't done drugs yet in the game, but they give you a bonus to the whole stat line. But that's only temporary and comes off with other side effects. Yeah. Yeah, if I could like do a breakdown of every single encounter in this game, I would, but we would never finish it. So let's continue after. But now we understand why this is happening. This this 2 lines of dialogue. So let's ground ourselves back in this, okay? Now that we have like a very basic understanding of the cognitive model and the way that drugs are currently impairing and in fact causing this problem, what kind of behaviors do we think are going to happen? There's a difference between what I want to say here and what I think my character would say here. So let's get Kim involved. Kim, I think I should tell people to fuck off more often. It felt really good. Fuck yeah, motherfuckers. It's not really my style. We're going with it's not really my style because we are starting to develop more into our core belief that we are sorry. We're apologetic. We find that our behaviors our behavior of telling people to fuck off, right? This right here, this confrontational, it's coming from giving us a sense of relief and getting rid of shame. But we're starting to not like this about ourselves, just like I, as a person, do not like that I get defensive, which I admit frequently. Like, I don't like that my first reaction is often defensiveness and avoidance. But, I understand that that's a behavioral result of feeling insecure, and that, the core belief is like, people don't like me or something. So, Sorry Cop is finding that confrontation and the avoidance of shame through relief about confronting people it's not good for us. We're trying to learn a better way to get relief without it having to replace shame and resulting in like worse social circumstances. So let's explore another route to that and say it's not really my style.
Hey, I've got an idea on how to fix your style. Maybe you should just go fuck yourself, yeah? Ever thought of that?
Yeah, I have thought of that, Half-Life, but I starting to think that you're my enemy now. Rejected. Half-Life rejected. And I don't give a fuck if it damages my morale. Sometimes you have to go through a process of rupture and repair. Rupture and repair. That's healing. Let's
Yes.
Ooh, okay. Now that we're Sorry Cop, we can investigate this, but we're still not there yet. What was I doing? What was I doing? I was gonna go see Frick Girl. The best character. Oh my god, this poor thing. Is she working still? It's nearly 10 p.m. Honey, what are you doing here? I was here like in the morning. How long is her shift? Overtime? Okay. Here's the thing. All right, I want to talk about Frit Girl a little bit. If you will allow me to indulge a little bit in like, how would I actually approach therapy with this young woman who, from my perspective, spends an inordinate amount of time doing something that she hates? What do you think that that's going to do to her own self-esteem, right? Because I can imagine a lot of her thoughts throughout the day just being negative ones, like, this is a waste of time, these people are annoying, I don't like being here, I'm bored, I don't know, I hate this, right? Like, how many negative thoughts do you think are crossing through her mind, and how much of her emotion is going to be dominated by like feelings that ask her to disconnect, right? She may feel moments of sadness, she may feel moments of grief, time that she is losing where she could be spending time with friends, where she could be on summer holiday somewhere enjoying life, right? Regret for the decisions made, or the fact that the only way that she sees to climb out of her economic circumstances is to work a job that she hates and endure living a life where the pipeline of her thoughts are going to be clogged with negativity, okay? How many negative thoughts do you think she's having every single day? Because you and I have millions of them. Millions. Constantly, right? Like, thoughts, just constantly. When you're in environments where every single one is negative like this, okay, this is her world right now, okay? Like, how many positive thoughts a day is she having compared to this? It's an insane amount. And so at the end of the day, when she gets her paycheck and she maybe has one good thought, like, hey, I can go buy myself something. This is not a healthy balance for someone who is still developing. It's not even a healthy balance for someone who is fully developed. Like, this is what working a shit job that you hate feels like. Is you spend all day doing whatever you can not to observe and reflect on the overwhelming amount of negative thoughts that you're having, and trying to find ways to avoid or suppress the negative emotions. For example, spending all her time reading a magazine instead of like working, taking extra breaks while you're working, doing your work slower. Like, we're all looking for ways to avoid the kind of busy work that results in this. Especially because the job that she's working is not like super demanding. She has to spend a lot of time just hanging around and waiting, and that makes her vulnerable to actually like hearing these things. You know, if I'm like doing a job where it's like labor or something and there's a lot of like menial tasks that I'm doing, I'm probably not gonna think a lot about this stuff. I'm probably still having them, but I'm not vulnerable to the onslaught of them. But she's sitting here day in, day out for whoever knows how many fucking hours, and she has to observe every negative thought that's coming through her mind, and maybe every once in a while a positive one wanders through. But it's not preparing her for like positive emotions, right? And what kind of behavior is this going to lead into? It's going to lead into being disinterested, right? It's going to make her avoidant of conversation, isolation. It's not telling her that this is relaxing just because she's not doing anything, right? It's not telling her that socializing cures her of the awareness of all of this negativity. And she's standing all day long. She's tired. She is completely burnt out from this. You can just tell from the way that she talks and the like the subtextual body language that you can hear there, right? So like, this is not a good life for her. It definitely isn't. So like, what would I do to help her? Okay. Again, part of this would be like trying to explore with her, if she can't get out of this situation, then we need to sort of discover something that makes this worthwhile for her, right? Because the meaning of it right now is just, I have to do this because I have no other choice, presumably, right? And so I'm burdened with all these negative thoughts, and there's no cure for that. I would really want to know, like, what does she want from life, right? What would she rather be doing with her time? And exploring with her ways that she might, like, get that same sensation not in her workplace, right? Because the best she can do is just escape into this little book, right? this magazine. But how many times can she read it and not get bored, right? It's so heartbreaking. I would ask her, like, what's going on at home, you know? Does anyone ask you, like, what your day was like? And do you speak to them honestly? Because I have the feeling that, like, when she's talking to, let's say, her parents, it would be like, yeah, work was fine. Well, did anything interesting happen? I don't know, right? I'm assuming that the parents don't care, but maybe they do. Maybe they do, and she's just, like, so disaffected that she doesn't know how to communicate because nothing interesting is happening, right? She doesn't know how to make this interesting. Yeah, she might say fine, but like fine is the worst thing that you can say therapeutically. When we say the word fine, what we really mean is we're functional. We are functioning. We are standing here. We are completing the day. We are cashing the check. We're doing things. We're doing behaviors, but like we're just doing the behaviors. We're not having any of the resulting emotions, right? Like this word is garbage. It's terrible for you. It doesn't tell a good story at all, and it really limits your ability to like search for a solution. What I find fascinating is, and I do this a little bit on purpose, this word is so common, and the English language is so poisoned with, hey, how you doing, how's it going, good, all that stuff, that like just common small talk, that what I'll do sometimes is like I'll go get my client, and then on the way to the therapy session, like if I'm pulling them from, you know, a group therapy session and I'm going to take them to do individual, I will ask them while we're on the way, so how's your day going? And they'll say, you know, it's going all right. And then when we get in the session, I'll be like, so, you know, what's going on lately? And they're like, everything is terrible. And I'm like, what does this tell you? What does this tell you? That like when someone asks, our immediate response is just to navigate that conversation with a common answer, which is that, yeah, things are okay. But then like the mask comes off and like, no, things are awful. It's not considered socially acceptable. So like how many opportunities is this young girl getting to actually be honest about how she feels? 0! It's 0. Okay? I genuinely want to know. Maybe she can try to see her work in a positive light. Like, hey, these bottles look nice. Organizing them is actually fun. But I feel like she'd run out of, like... I love what our guys are doing. What are we doing? This poor girl. I love that they're doing this. Kim is helping me out with my back after I sat in that awful chair. This poor Fritter girl is like, what the fuck is happening? But hey, maybe I'm giving her something interesting to talk about at home for once. So I don't think I would use CBT with Fritter girl. Let's see. So I think that the approach that I would use would kind of be something like motivational interviewing, which is not so much a therapy style as it is a like general way of like engaging someone, and sort of like, because like I'm going off an assumption that she wants something bigger than life, but she probably has not had the platform to explore that subject, right? I would start asking her questions like, can you tell me some of your accomplishments? And she'd say, I don't know. Well, did you make anything recently? Did you make a good meal recently? Did you read a good book? Did you have a good conversation? Right? I would be sort of like asking her to explore things that she had completed, because this feels never ending. It's day in, day out, same bullshit all day, every single day, right? So nothing feels like it has any markers of progress. And she'd be like, I don't know, I guess, right? So what did it feel like to finish that book? It was okay. one thing that really works, especially with teenagers, is like pretending you do not understand this word. I mean, I understand it, but like basically like, okay, well, assume I don't know what okay means. Like, you know, can you tell me a different word? Like, it was cool. You know, I don't know really what cool is anymore these days. Like, what are some other things that are cool? I saw something, you know, I heard something cool on the radio the other day. Oh, okay, well, what was it? It was a story about, you know, a new technological development in this region. So what was so cool about it? Like, well, I don't know. It was interesting. I hadn't heard it before. So what do you feel when you hear something interesting, like when you learn something new? I mean, it's nice, I guess. And like I'm picking up on every time that she qualifies something as cool, interesting, nice, she minimizes it with I guess or I don't know. And I would start picking up on that pattern, right? You know, every time you say something good happens, I notice you tend to minimize it afterwards. Why do you think that, you know, you tend to do that? I don't know. Maybe because like I'm not sure about how I feel about it, and maybe I'm not sure if I'm right. Like if I say it's interesting and you think it's lame, you're gonna think I'm lame. So what do you think people feel about you generally, right? I would want to know about her life and her world and how she sees the world. And I feel like she's so detached and so plagued by negative thoughts that she doesn't have the vocabulary to discuss emotions. I would be trying to get her to discuss things that are cool, interesting. Like, let's expand that. What does it mean to be interesting? I don't know this word. Break it down for me. What does it mean when something is interesting? Well, it's fun to learn something new. It's cool that I can share it with someone else, and I feel like they'll feel like it was worthwhile talking to me because they learned something new. And suddenly I feel a little less worthless. Wow, that's a much deeper story than this was interesting. Let's build on that. Like, you just told me a great story about what it was like to feel something good. And you may have actually done that in a place where the rest of your life is on hold, paused, frozen in this fucking dystopia of a clerk shop. Frida girl! She's the key to everything. Wait a second. Okay. Does she have any new dialogue for me?
Is this about the questions again? Because I don't really know anything.
I'm gonna cry. Can I just pull her out of here? She doesn't know anything. Can you go home, please? When do you get off work? Go home. Okay, let's turn in our money.
The tear machine stands in the corner. A sign says, 1 bottle equals 10 cents. Your bottles clunk into the machine, and the money appears with a satisfying jingle. You're a richer man now. Do you know what you should do with that money, kiddo? You should buy more alcohol. Enter the endless cycle of consumption.
The thing is I'm finding my electrochemistry to wield less power over me. The more I get acquainted with volition, the more I develop a yearning for Kim's approval. These impulses are starting to influence me a little less because they are very much built what my shame is built on. Maybe there is some other dialogue I can ask her. I don't know. I'm gonna leave her alone for now. Okay, let's go talk to Gart. Fuck you. Fucking garbage. Just standing there all day. Lena! The second best character after Fritta Girl. Sorry, I don't mean to blast you with the flashlight. Okay, can I barter with this guy?
Can I help you?
So about that money I owe.
Yes. Have you got it?
How much do I owe you again?
A lot. For the room and broken window, 100 real.
How the fuck am I supposed to pay that? Let's talk about something else.
Like what? I was
You should-
really enjoying talking about the money you owe me.
Here's your trash container key.
Thanks. I hope you found what you were looking for.
He doesn't need to know that. That's privileged information. Just trash.
As it should be. Anyway, thank you for returning my key.
Goodbye. So, what? Can I, like, not go to sleep or something? Well, Kuno is the key to a part of this. Take bribes. Do something else for now. Let's talk to Lena. See what she's got.
Hello
for me.
again, sweetie.
Ah. Sweeties need money. Do sweeties get money? Does she have any money for me? I don't want to peddle her, but
Oh, sweetie, I heard your conversation with the manager about your financial troubles. When do you get your next paycheck?
If she could, this woman would feed and clothe you and every other sad, lost person on this earth.
Angel.
You've got guns of steel and a chiseled jaw somewhere under the bloated alcohol layer. Maybe she'd like to sponsor you.
Tug on her heartstrings. Is this exploitative, though? I mean, I feel like it's in Sarikop's character to just be honest. That, like, this is one of the only people that I feel would not judge me unfairly for just asking for help. Would be a huge step for my character. Because, like I said about the apology as a utility, we would not want to use it as brute force to manipulate people or to feel that receiving forgiveness is doing the actual work. We need to apologize, accept feedback, and make meaningful change. And expect nothing in return. Let's ask for help. We've got a 97% chance here.
Your deportment remains dignified as you shed a single manly tear.
It isn't easy for me to ask this of anyone, but I am at the end of my rope. Any money you have could help me. I feel like there is a impulse to be prideful, but like this is huge. I would be so proud of my client for genuinely asking for help when they need it, rather than looking for unscrupulous means to subvert this responsibility. This is good for us.
Sweetie, I only have a few cents on me, but I could give you this to pawn. Just
No.
to tide you over.
No.
Wonderful. He has a pin.
The pin is round and slightly tarnished.
Oh, I guess we can't take it
Three
back.
sailboats in bas relief with the sun hovering over the water behind them. A chipped green banner at the bottom reads, Sam Baptiste, Summer 31. Ding
Okay,
faces.
I'm so glad that we can make this up to her because I don't want to just go pawn this. I will buy it back for you once I have more money.
Oh, it's not an ancient family heirloom or anything, but I suppose it would be nice to get it back.
I will do everything in my power to do it.
I hope you're able to pawn that old trinket.
Okay, at least I can give it back Just wanted to thank you again.
Of course, dear. I just wish I could have done more.
Part of me just wants to give it back and find an honorable way to do this. I would like to explore other means to collect this money, and if I can't, I will use it, but... Unusually tasteful pin was produced to celebrate the Saint Baptiste summer dinghy races. Oh man, this is... It doesn't have enough... It's not enough money to cover this, so I'm just gonna give it back, I think. I mean, I guess I can always get it from her if I need it.
I hope you were able to pawn that old trinket.
No, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I just can't do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, dear. I confess I am glad to see it again.
We've just gotten some free experience,
Even
I
the
guess.
lieutenant seems happy with this turn of events.
Solid demonstration of character from us. We've won some favor with Kim.
Now, what else, sweetie?
I couldn't do it, Lena. I'm sorry. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, consider giving it a like and letting me know what you thought of it in the comments. You can subscribe to catch the next video here, or you can see things a little bit earlier if you support the channel either through Twitch or Patreon. Links to both of those and the community Discord are in the description. Thanks again, and I will see you next time. Bye.